Hi, I'm Matthew Shimalowo. It's such a great joy and privilege to be able to be part of the National Church Leaders Forum. On behalf of myself and Kingsway International Christian Center, I'd like to say we celebrate the blessing of God, the grace of God, for the great vision which He has given Pastor Adiomoba and others in facilitating and making something like this to happen. It is such a great joy. I'd like to say that really political participation for the Black church is a necessity. And even though we may think we are not in the majority, the statistics show clearly 45 to 48% of church attendance in the whole of London is by Black people. And if you take what percentage they are in the whole city, you'll find that they are the largest really in churches. And therefore, to be there and not be heard is a big mistake. Thank you for this forum. It gives us 3 or 4 things. Number one, it makes us to be heard, so we are a voice. It makes us to be seen, so we are visible. We are in the presence of someone. It makes us to be involved. In other words, we have abilities, giftings, and ideas that can change our community. Every community has its base of power. And I have always said, the Black community in general, all across the Western Hemisphere, and particularly in the United Kingdom, will continue to be sidelined until the government comes to the understanding that one guy who is a member of parliament, who is a Black person, one councillor who is a member of some local government's chamber is not the voice of our community. Our base of power, our base of influence, our source of strength is really the church. When our people are in trouble, they don't necessarily go to these 1 or 2 or 3 members of parliament. They turn to the pastor next door. They turn to the church nearby. If the government will just see the magnitude of the work with churches from as big as Newark and as small as the church down the road, as big as Jesus House or Christ Faith Tabernacle, KRCC do, they would appreciate, but they would not know unless we speak out. It's time for us to make our voice known, and I think this is a big forum. We should not stop here, but should be moved forward. And I pray that the years ahead will be something that we will sit down and celebrate this step. And those who will take over from us will also appreciate the fact that the foundation has been laid.
It is an excellent work. It's concise, it's straight to the point, it's simple, it's clear, and yet it has depth. It challenges a lot of the manifestos that are out there in how effective a document it is. So I want to encourage everybody to move to the next stage, which is to get the information out and galvanize support for the work that the NCLF is doing.
I have a message from the PM. The PM wanted me to say that he welcomes this report, thanks you for its recommendations, and he's grateful for the invitation to come today, but unfortunately we felt that 2 of us was plenty, and I know he's elsewhere doing important business, otherwise he would be here. He goes on to say your report is an incredibly useful piece of work, and he's very confident that a great deal of it will neatly chime with the forthcoming manifesto. And of course, if we're elected in after May the 7th, then you'll probably see more of that. We've begun, I think, a really good work of engagement, and it's great to be amongst so many friends here in the audience.
We exist to be the bridge between the Christian world and the political world.
It's exciting to see today coming to reality. It's historic.
And it's an absolute thrill to be here today to celebrate the launch of the manifesto. You know, as Christians, it's really important that we don't separate ourselves from society, but that we engage. And part of our engagement is engagement in the political arena.
This is an exciting juncture for our community where we have an opportunity to shape the future. I think it's important that we politically engage, that we don't stand on the sidelines and allow others to dictate the future of our nation.
I do hope that our churches will engage positively with this agenda and ensure that we are able to convey the essential message across the groups to ensure that we can resolve or begin to resolve the issues that are facing us: employment, mental health, prisons,
housing, when it comes to mental health issues, when it comes to education and other social injustices in this nation, and we can begin to bring solution to the table. And this is a great opportunity for our churches right across the country to engage in the political process and to bring these issues to the fore so that those who represent us in the seat of government can begin to bring solution to those problems that we have faced for many, many years.
Get out on election day, use your God-given right and vote, and together we will choose the godly leader that God has ordained for us in this country.
My encouragement is, on the back of the manifesto that's been launched, let's make sure, firstly, that we turn up and we vote, but also that we engage in the conversation that will take place around the election. And let's pray. Let's ask God that we see a government that He wants in place, based in 10 Downing Street, for the next 4 or 5 years.
With the Conservative Christian Fellowship and the NCLF working together, we can raise up future leaders to change the country for the better.
The church has always been a driver of every activity of the community in this nation historically.
Act like Jesus, walk like Jesus, and think like Jesus, because the only way we're going to change people's lives is if we're out from the four walls and we're into the community. So I'm totally behind this launch. I'm totally behind what NCLF is trying to do. I'm totally behind mobilizing and galvanizing the community, because the most important thing is to us to move together in unison, because without agreement, we cannot stand.
The recognition and the assimilation of this manifesto into the political agendas of this nation would help to both enhance the future of this nation, but then also retrieving from the past what made Britain great, and hopefully reintegrating us into a future greatness for this nation.
I am so thrilled to be here. If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have had no idea about politics and how I can engage in public life, but the things that I've learnt today, and also the manifesto that's come out, I'm so intrigued, and I'm surprised that I haven't known about it and haven't gotten involved, and I'm definitely not going to let my vote go to waste.
I see so many friends, so it's great to be in a gathering of friends. And it's also great to be able to identify with a process that has taken us to a place of clarity as to the voice of the black majority church, of the African church and of the Caribbean church. And I, as a representative of the broader church, as the Evangelical Alliance, I want to say that we want to get behind the voice and support the voice that is reflected in this manifesto. It's important that we are not only a church in our diversity, but we also reflect a church in our unity.
You're amazing, amazing, incredible, incredible. You're awesome, you're kind. No one like you, bow before you. I adore you and know that you're mine.
One of the partners that we have been able to work with has been Operation Black Vote. And about a year ago, Simon and I were on Sky and on the radios talking about our partnership between NCLF and OBV to encourage people to register to vote, and to run for elected office. And I'm really pleased that we've been able to launch this manifesto today to solidify our partnership with many others, but also with Operation Black Vote.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, in the mold of our great hero, Dr. Martin Luther King, that I and our organization have been fighting social and racial justice for 25 years. And I have to say to you here today that I prayed for this day in those 25 years. I prayed for this day, the day when good men and women, when black men and women and those that support us come here together, spiritually strong, politically strong, and racially strong.
Education, employment, community, aspiration and ambition, and family. Every single one of you in this room will be able to reflect on all that the politicians bring to the table and whether they have answered that call. I salute this manifesto. I stand by every single word as someone who has grown up in the church and who is not afraid in public life to say, I am a Christian. I stand by all of it. I commend what you do. Challenge us all over the coming weeks.
We're seeing a lot of manifestos at the moment. What's different about this one is that it's majoring on what the black majority churches can give rather than demand, and I really welcome that very distinctive approach. The leader of the Labour Party, Ed Miliband, has asked me to pass on his apologies that he's unable to be here today, but he's asked me to read a message from him, and I will, if I may, just do that. He says, "Dear friends, I welcome the publication of the Black Church Manifesto by the National Church Leaders Forum. This is an important document at a critical time, and the issues raised demand the attention of every politician and party. As the leader of the Labour Party, I'm proud of our movement's roots in the Christian faith. For centuries, the church has been a vital cornerstone and change agent in our society. In recent years, the dramatic growth of African-initiated and international churches has brought fresh life and vitality to the church, and it's transforming communities all over the country. Whether supporting families, inspiring young people, standing for justice, promoting religious liberty, investing in the creative industries, improving our criminal justice system, or caring for the most vulnerable at home and abroad, black majority churches are changing our nation for the better in remarkable ways. In years to come, I look forward to working with you without compromising the independence and identity of your congregations, your projects and your faith. I believe together we can build a better Britain." That's from Ed Miliband, leader of the Labour Party.
The church community in this country is enormously important to us. The black churches do a fantastic job in our communities. I'm really grateful to all of those in all of our black churches for the work they do on all of our behalf, for the difference they make. I think this manifesto will make an important contribution to our political debate, and I hope that everyone in all of the church communities will be engaged and active in our political arena, trying to make a difference for the country in which we all live.
Church is not just something you do for yourself. It's not just a place to sing and praise God on a Sunday morning. The biblical teaching calls us to act. It calls us to reach out. It calls us to engage. And that engagement is by definition political. That is how we listen to our ancestors' prayers and we move forward as a nation. You will have your own views on the politics of the moment and different political parties, but it would be a travesty if you sat down and did not act, did not vote.
And on behalf of the government, I want to extend my appreciation to all of those who've been involved in drawing up the manifesto and in organising this really important event. We'll all study the content of the manifesto very carefully, take note of what it's asking us to do, and I hope listen very carefully as we shape our platforms for the coming election and the coming parliament.
You know, who is it who stepped in over the last few years when hundreds of thousands of families have found they haven't been able to afford enough food for themselves and their families? It's been the churches. The Trussell Trust network of food banks has provided food for over 1 million people in the last 12 months. And sometimes people think the churches can't do very much anymore. It's turned out to be untrue. The churches are making a fantastic impact, and the black majority churches are in the vanguard of that. And what I want to see is not just a big impact in communities that we are now starting to see that the manifesto reflects, but also an impact, a big impact on our politics. I'd like to see people from the churches really getting involved in the political parties, bringing their convictions, bringing their faith, bringing the values that are the result of their faith, and working to transform our politics. I think that's what we're going to see happening. Politics, trust in politics, needs to be rebuilt, and I believe members of the black majority churches have got a really important part to play.
Let us all focus on this document from our different specialisms, and I'm looking forward to contribute my expertise as a police officer and also as an activist in the community for equality and justice.
So the first thing is to pray. And then the second thing is to actually vote. After praying, you make sure you're registered and make sure you go out and make sure you express what you feel God is laying on your heart in terms of indicating who you would want to serve in various capacities in the political sphere. The third thing is to encourage others to vote. And that's part of our role, to mobilize those that we know and encourage them to vote as well. The fourth thing is to encourage people to stand for elections. It's not just voting, but it's also, there are some of us who are called into that political sphere and want to encourage you to stand.
I know the work starts now, the rubber hits the road now. I'm up for it. I know there are so many people up for this, and we will make change, because as Martin Luther King said, change is going to come.
It's great to do a lot of the awesome work the church is doing in the community, but then the church must also engage in the political sphere. And I think especially the black majority churches, which I feel is a sort of sleeping giant in this land. A lot of the people who would go to these churches have had a lot of issues to deal with. And the last thing on their minds was politics. But a lot is changing. A lot of awareness is coming to the churches, and the churches are becoming more politically engaged and politically astute. And I guess the evidence of that is that the black majority church is being courted by all the political parties, and that's understandable, because that's what politics is about. But that's a clear sign that it's becoming evident and clear that this is a sleeping giant, and this giant is beginning to wake up. And so I want to commend all those who are involved in NCLF for being a catalyst to this engagement.
We're growing in the gospel music industry, and we have in some ways been ahead in the culture of the day. At many events in the nation, like BBC Proms, like the Olympics, we've participated with our music. It's been in demand at all levels in our society and in our communities. And that's why we're very pleased that the churches now are beginning to wake up to the need to grasp and to hold the gospel music and all the media and the arts and the culture that we represent. I'm very excited about that, and that now that the Manifesto and the National Church Leaders Forum is behind us, we at GMI expect greater engagement and response to us from church leaders. So look out for us coming to your church.
We want revival in our lives, in our homes. So we say rain, sing it out with me. Rain on me. Open the windows of heaven. Clap your hands and make it sound like rain this morning. Yes.
All of us have got a calling, and all of us must make the best of all the opportunities that we've got. If the manifesto helps you, help us to do that, I think Ade and I will be very, very pleased. Pastor Ade.
Try to keep it as short as possible, and that is to say that
I've never liked to pursue prominence. I prefer to pursue influence. Because if you're influential, prominence follows after you. And what I'm hoping that this manifesto will do and the NCLF will do is exactly that. For power means the ability to influence. And if we're not influencing, we've lost something.
1, 2, 3, come on. Clap your hands, everybody. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Come on, clap your hands, everybody. Come on, I am the head. I am the head, and not the tail. More than a conqueror, that's who I am.
The Black Church is a sleeping giant which is ready and is being awakened. I am very positive in what I've heard today and would like to take this back to my own congregation and in order to stimulate and to carry on the debate.
This gives us a template of how to engage socially, economically and politically, and it's something that I want to encourage everyone within the Black Church constituency, whether African and Caribbean, to get on board on this, to be able to bring about effective and structural change in our society.
We are the light of the world and the salt of the earth. Not only that, Britain brought Christianity to all of virtually a large area of the world. And the blacks that have come to this country now have been sent here by God to come and revive Christianity in Britain.
The manifesto is a significant step forward. It's overdue and it's welcomed. Over the next few years, we definitely hope to see a really strong impact of our political leaders, not only in Parliament, but also in the House of Lords. What's the saying? Build it and they will come, and if we lead them, they will follow. For too long, we've asked for, not only for our people to vote, with the expectation that someone will be in a position to represent them. But I think now we're at the time where we need to see our leaders, our bishops in the House of Lords, where they can actually begin to set the agenda, to be at the table when bills are put through and on discussions relating to our community.
This is going to be really helpful in getting it out to members and to help them to have a voice, have a political voice, to empower them to really share their opinions, share their needs, share their community needs, and also empower them to vote.
Today was the launch of the Black Church Political Mobilisation, a manifesto for us to get into action. We understand now that the electorate make up approximately 8% of the community coming from the BME community, and it's important now that we engage. This is a fantastic opportunity for churches to get involved in community social action. It's a fantastic opportunity for churches to engage where it really matters, where the influence lies. I think that when we have a look at the manifesto and see the different spheres of influence that the church has the opportunity to get involved with, let's mobilise some of our congregation. Let's mobilise those who have the interest, the power and the capacity to get involved and really make a change for our society, for our community, and more importantly, for our country.
I want to say a tremendous appreciation to members of government, both of opposition and the coalition who have been here today, also to endorse this movement and this great effort. Well, it's just the beginning of a journey. There's a long road ahead. We now begin to work together to give visibility and voice to the excellence that our members of our communities have been offering over the years.
This is a time of hope for the church. This is our action time. I think heaven is smiling. We can see change if we engage in change. Great leaders live to bring solutions to their communities. That's what leadership is about. I think today the church took on leadership.
Let's not waste our energy in pursuing prominence when there's no influence. Influence is what we require, and let's combine ability with opportunity so that we can impact much for this country. I thank you all for the privilege to serve.
I shall arise and thou shine. For the glory? For the glory of the Lord. Beyond the norm. Beyond the norm. Thank you, Jesus. Beyond the natural. Beyond the natural. I will. I'm soaring high. I'm soaring high. Beyond. Beyond the sky.
satisfied.